Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Forseight. Viewers, India once celebrated its secular democracy, now grappling with dark shadows of Hindutva ideology. The Modi regime's relentless pursuit of a Hindu Rashtra has unleashed a torrent of marginalization, oppression and violence against minorities, vulnerable castes and war crimes and genocide in the occupied territories, particularly in the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. As the Indian military, bureaucracy and judiciary become increasingly radicalized, India or the Indian society under dictatorial regime right now, while the region seems at the brink of chaos. With the lifting of the ban on the government employees joining the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, reports of natural uranium and nuclear equipment theft, then Indian Navy's guided missile frigate INS Brahmaputra sinking, the dangers of terrorist or rogue military and nuclear terrorism looming large in the region. We will examine the alarming rise of Hindutva ideology, its devastating consequences and its regional and global implications, particularly from the Indian transformation from a secular democracy to the authoritarian Hindu supremacist state. To discuss this very vital topic of regional importance, we have in our studios Dr. Awais bin Wasi. He is the Indian affairs expert. Most welcome to you, Dr. Awais. Thank you very much for your presence. We have Vice Admiral retired Ahmed Saeed. He is the president of National Institute of Maritime Affairs, NIMA. Most welcome to you, sir. Thank you very much. And online joining us, Brigadier retired Ghazanfar Shah Sahab. He is the defense analyst. Most welcome to you, Brigadier Sahab. Thank you very much for your time. And I start my program today from your insight about the what is happening in our neighborhood. Do you think that the secular India is now a dream and it's swiftly vanishing in current circumstances while Hindutva ideology overshadowed much of the Indian dynamics, and that's turning into a Hindu Rashtra, with Modi regime and Sangh Parivar led by Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS marching towards realization of Akhand Bharat mantra? How do you see that?
Thank you very much, Faisal. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And once you call India secular, you have to one has to understand the meaning of the secularism, as has been defined at various places. Secularism is basically, they say, that's a separation of religion from the civil affairs and state. Or if you go into more precise thing, it is the separation of the role of religion and in the public sphere. Now, in this context, if we go into the background of 1947 or before 1947, when Pakistan and India came into being, I don't see any era where in India religion was not part of the Indian state, or religion was not part of the Indian politics, or religion, Hindutva, Hindu religion was not essential part of the different leadership which emerged, whether it was Nehru, whether it was Patel or anybody. Because if you see the so-called instrument of accession which was used to pressurize Jammu and Kashmir to join India, and where even the offices of Mountbatten were used, or I would very precisely say offices of Lady Mountbatten was used, because she had an affair with Nehru. So from there onwards, you just count on your fingertips. There have been 43 anti-Muslim riots in India, where number of Muslims were killed. They have been very treacherous riots. There was a part of time in once time Golakpur, when it took place, or even Delhi or in Bombay, even the writer said that the canals in the city were littered with the blood of Muslims. And if you transform it further, if you come further in the Modi's regime, see what happened in Gujarat. What happened with Ahsan Jafri, who fought an election against Narendra Modi. So in all these days, India had never been a secular state. They have been claiming to be a secular state. If they were a secular state, then Sikhs, who are about 24 to 28 million Sikhs living in India, they cannot call themselves Sikhs according to the Constitution of India. Once they take the demographic calculation, Sikhs are counted as Hindus. That's why Hindu population goes up. Today, Muslims are 43% in India. So, first of all, India had never been a secular state. Yes, it further accentuated, or the trouble further raised up once you said, and go back into 1923 when Hajwal wrote that book, and the father of RSS. He say in his preface, he always said that in India only Hindus will live. Don't you remember that the RSS was banned twice? Once during the British regime and then twice during the Indian regime. Why were they banned?
Whatever that was happening in 1923 and afterwards. But right now, the situation in India is that from the last at least 10 years, this all is happening in India. That this is the reality, whatever is going on, and their society, their administrative setups, their judiciary, their military, all of them are radicalized right now.
Yes, you are right. I said the basis of the India were not laid on secularism as they have been claiming. It was laid on the thesis that only Hindus will live in India. And once Narendra Modi and his cohorts came into the politics, they described it that we will impose Hindu religion in the India based on the RSS philosophy. And RSS philosophy clearly says what you say. Sangh Parivar. What did they say? Ki bahu lao or beti bachao. Mean that get your son married to the Muslim, convert them to Hindu, and this was a movement in India. So basically, Narendra Modi is a religious terrorist. He's worse than Hitler and he's worse than the Nazis regime. What is happening in India today? It has totally destroyed not even culture but the recognition of the India as a state.
You are absolutely right. But what's the demonizing effect of Hindutva ideology on already marginalized communities, including Muslims, Sikhs, and vulnerable castes, especially when it comes to the people under siege, shackles, bondage, and continuous occupation, like Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, those who are the part of actually Indian military and civil bureaucracy, as they are also feeling the heat of extremist India. So whether they want it or not, but this is happening there.
Yeah, this would happen there. It will further get accentuated. Don't go to the common Muslim. I was once hearing a statement of Shabana Azmi, and she's a very famous actress in India. And she said, we do not get a house on rent because we are Muslim. And BJP, in various states of India, BJP Gundas and BJP Badmash, they do not allow Muslims to take houses on the rent. Then what happened on the Delhi's university? There was a Muslim lady. She was going through a family way. What did they do to that lady? And what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir? It is on record. It is on record of the human rights. It is on the record of Amnesty International that in one of the villages of the Poshpura, the Indian Army made 100 women stand into the line, and they raped it right at 10 o'clock in the morning in front of their kids and kids. Can you go beyond this? There is another genocide which is taking place in Palestine. Ismail Hania has been targeted, and there similar thing is happening in India also. The genocide is taking place in India against the Muslims. The genocide is taking place against the Christians. The genocide is taking place against the Sikhs. And they do not allow the Sikhs to come out and call for their protest. And if you see the modern Punjab, now the politics in that...
your point well taken, Brigadier Sahib, your point well taken. Dr. Awais, do you not think that the Hindutva ideology actually given rise to the polarization in India? And while revocation of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir's autonomy, the Citizenship Amendment Act, Ghar Wapsi, cow vigilantism, or many other controversial acts suppressed actually the minorities, created suffocation, given rise to anti-India movements across Indian Punjab, Nagaland, Assam, etc., and more hatred in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. How do you analyze this?
You have mentioned all the manifestations of Hindutva in India, and I think that it has shaken the very foundations of India, which India claims as per its constitution. And the examples of different states that you have mentioned, in which if we see one by one, for example, Jammu and Kashmir, if you see, that is a classic case, though that is not part of India, but whatever is happening in Jammu and Kashmir is, it belies the claim of secular credentials and pluralist credentials what India claims. And second thing is that this Hindutva construct is an existential threat to India, So it's not going to give any benefit to the Indians. It can explode, at any future time. For example, if you see the recent results of the elections, so now there is a resistance from within India that they are not going to accept this Hindutva narrative that they are going to sell in India. So it is not confined to the implications in Indian society, Indian polity, and Indian state apparatus. It has implications in the region and to the external world also, because it gives a fuel to other extremist forces across the region and across the world, because they will take inspiration from such kind of extremist ideology. They are transformed into
so the
ruling
question arises that what kind of implications actually emerged for the region to Hindu-centric narrative injected in Indian history, culture, social, legislative, administrative and military setups at large scale to transform India from a secular democratic republic to a authoritarian Hindu supremacist state?
One implication which is very significant, that is their construct of Akhand Bharat. So this indicates India's expansionist designs, that the map it ambitions, so it stretches from Afghanistan to Myanmar. It includes Pakistan, it includes Bangladesh and other South Asian neighbors. So if India believes in this expansionist construct and expansionist slogan, so of course there will be implications to the sovereignty and to the integrity of other South Asian neighbors. So it has a very serious implication. So we cannot say that this Akhand Bharat is just something which could be confined within the limits of India. It does have very serious implications in the region, and it should be looked into the into that context. And if we see this hegemonic designs of India in South Asia, so that is the clear reflection and the extension of India's the Hindutva narrative which India advocates.
Definitely, your point well taken. Admiral Sahib, do you not think that Indian state-sponsored global terrorism that started from Western countries, particularly from Canada, that was not started from Canada, but the major event that happened because of the Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar's murder and the other assassinations in Britain, in America, some of the attempts on the Sikh leaders. So that extremist Hindutva ideology was somewhere the revenge was there, and someone wants to take that revenge. And what happened on 22nd of July, Indian Navy's guided missile frigate INS Brahmaputra sank, and some of the reports straight away coming from Indian media and some of the very important officials that 3 of the Sikh naval officials missing after the incident. So what kind of incident that was actually, and someone from India actually, they are depicting that some sort of revenge took by the Sikh officers who might be there because of the Agnipath scheme, or might be Agniveer scheme. So how do you see that?
Thank you, Raza. I think we aptly highlighted the implications of Hindutva and its dangers which are lurking not only in India, in the region and beyond. The first and the foremost, I think, at a state level, this Canadian Prime Minister, he gave this statement on the House in the Parliament, giving the involvement
Trudeau,
of
yes.
Justin Trudeau, that India has been involved behind this. So definitely, if a state level at such a high level position person is saying, so that means they have had a good insight into the working of RAW. And they went
And
back.
5I, which is the intelligence alliance between 5 countries, they have endorsed actually what Canada said.
Exactly. And then of course the US also came into, and they also identified another plot, which was a fellow was given the money, had money for another Khalistan Sikh movement, which is Sikh for Justice movement head in
Gurpatwant
America.
Singh Punnu.
Exactly, Punnu.
Yes.
So that was also unfolded. Then they went back till 2008, and they
Someone,
found
Nikhil Chopra, might be by that way, he
Exactly,
was
Nikhil.
arrested, and now he is
Nikhil
under
Chopra is
interrogation
the
now.
operative of the RAW.
Yes.
So this all then actually the world woke up, because Pakistan had been consistently telling the world that they are going for a state sponsored terrorism. But these two incidents actually jolted the entire world what is going on. And
Actually, it is the today's news that at least 4 to 5 raw operatives from Canada, they are also arrested today. So in series of that investigation particularly, that was going on regarding the Sikh leader who was actually murdered in Canada. So in that particular investigation, they unveiled that at least 4 of more operatives, raw operatives, arrested there in Canada.
So Pakistan has been outlining these problems from the very beginning, and now the world has started auditing all such issues which has happened around the world, which was actually related to the Kashmiri movement, as well as their leadership in assassinations, as well as the Khalistan in particular. So now, since 2008, a lot of other investigations are underway, and I think we will see a lot of other things are coming up in this relations. That is number one. Kulbhushan Yadav, I think we should
Never forget
that.
He is
a
in
living
Pakistan's
example,
custody
a
and a
serving
living
commander
example.
sponsoring terrorism into another country, and he was caught red-handed. So this is another part of it. So coming to your question regarding the Brahmaputra, it was really astonishing for me what has happened. Why? Because I am a student of history, and I have read about a lot of ships sinking in the harbor during the First World War, during the Second World War. Never ever I saw a ship turning turtle or going on to the other side. It laid on the port side, that was left
yes.
side, 90-degree turn, and it has laid. Most of the ships which I have gone, it is in Hawaii also, one can go and see, all the ships are actually bottoming on their keel, right on the keel. So here I think tremendously something terribly gone wrong. I will correlate this issue with the Arihant in 2017, when everybody said that its hatch remained open. Right on the same day, I had written an article in which I had said it is not
The
possible.
Indian Navy's nuclear submarine.
Exactly, the first SSBN.
Yes.
So being a submariner, I know that it can be hatch of any truck or trawler, but not SSBN, because they have a very stringent safety and security measures.
Obviously, obviously.
So that again, now we say that Eurasia report has given details about it, that there was something else, which they did not divulge even on the floor of the house.
Definitely, they are always covering up actually.
Exactly.
So how do you analyze the INS Brahmaputra incident? Although Indians are covering it up, but whether it's an retaliation against suppression, occupation, atrocities in Indian Punjab and world over, or pre-planned episode to put blame on the Sikh community particularly within India or elsewhere, and to further marginalize them, because one can expect anything from the RSS Modi regime.
Rightly said, this is in my calculation, there is a link between this marginalized communities which are there, and whenever they get certain opportunities, they go for it. Why I was hinting at, because this entire ship, which is about 3,000 850 tons. It's a huge ship. Now,
Definitely.
in the constructions, the ships are normally compartmentalized, so that even full flooding takes place, you can close the doors and the ship will be saved. So, in this particular case, it means there has been some drastically wrong, whereby the entire watertight integrity of the ship was compromised. So, it cannot be done without a sabotage, because the fire was extinguished on the evening of 21st July, and the ship went on to its port side in the morning. So, there is a lot of time available in which everybody could have reacted. So, I have read the investigation reports. Now, the other part which I am talking about is the special task force which has been placed by the Indian naval chief to investigate this. It says 3 dimensions: safety, security and sabotage. So, that means there is something which they are also worried about, then they may not be talking about. So, I see that, plus the fellow who was reportedly there are 3-6 missing, plus the one who was whose body was recovered later part of the day, he was also from the Sikh origin. So, this appears to be maybe connections. Let us hope the reports come out.
Your point well taken. Brigadier Ghazanfar sir, Modi government on 9th of July 2024 lifted 44 years old ban on government employees from joining Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS that was imposed by Indira Gandhi led Congress government in 1980 actually. Now Indian officials are permitted to join RSS. Do you not think that if Indian military, intelligence, nuclear scientists, engineers, missile or nuclear forces join such terror outfits, what would be the ultimate results of such a move and how it will impact South Asia?
First of all, in India, the RSS had connection to the civilian officials, and RSS had its network inside the Indian Army, Indian Navy and Indian Air Force also. If you remember, I just listened to the recent speech of Priyanka Gandhi, in which she said that Modi has labeled my father as a person who changed rules to get the part of the succession from our family heritage. He has gone to this level where my father was not like that. It means that whatever Narendra Modi said about Nehru and Patel and those people who said they who were part of this partition, you know it very well. So that animosity exists in the Narendra Modi, not against Pakistan, but against the parties who are not professing the Hindutva ideology in India. And as far as your point is concerned, recently, I mean, a year back, the words of the oath which Indian soldiers take once they pass out from different regimental centers. You know, there are regimental centers of different corps, as it is in Pakistan. It's Baloch Regiment Center, India, and Punjab Regimental Center, AK Regiment Center. Similarly, in India also, there are different regimental centers of their infantry, armored corps, artillery and all that. So they have changed the words of the oath and they are brought it more including into the Hindutva religion and Hindutva ideology, that you will remain committed to the Hindutva ideology, the supremacy of Hindu religion, the supremacy of the Hindu Indians till the time you serve in the army. Then recently there was another proposal which was in India, that you will recruit the soldiers for a particular period of time, not for the long now, for a lengthy service of 25 years or 20 years. And those people will be recruited who stay committed to Hindutva ideology as recommended by the BJP different party organization, party affiliations. So this thing is affecting the Indian army, and whatever happened on Golden Temple was that not a genocide or a sabotage and a terrorism committed by the Indian army, committed by Indian general officers who were Hindus, and specifically Hindu generals and Hindu brigadiers were appointed to undertake the operation against the Golden Temple. So indirectly or not in return, this thing has been existing in India, and there are recently what happened.
Means what, Brigadier Ghazanfar sir, besides several incidents linked to the Indian armed forces incompetence, lack of proper training or unprofessional behavior, there are ample evidences presented by Indian media itself that how Indian military getting radicalized with extremist and terrorist tendencies, how it will be a dangerous precedent for the regional stability. We have a very dangerous example of March 9, 2022, when the BrahMos missile, the supersonic missile, was fired from Sirsa, Haryana, which crashed in Mia Channu, Khanewal district in Pakistan, and that was God forbid, if tipped with some sort of a conventional or anything else like that, it would be a disaster in Pakistan. So it means that if some sort of a Hindu supremacist or Hindutva ideology prevail into the armed forces, any kind of such kind of incident, if that is with the nuclear tip missile, then what would be happen? Because there is no discipline in the Indian army, Indian military in that perspective when it comes to the Hindutva ideology.
Sir, you have heard the statement of Rajnath Singh, and if you see the professional incompetency, go back to the day when Pakistan crossed the border after the Balakot incident and shot 2 Indian aircraft. And once Pakistan pilots shot 2 Indian aircraft, Indian by themselves shot a helicopter which was carrying 11 very senior officers of the Air Force, and then inquiry was conducted on them. From that you can understand the professional confusion existing in the Indian Army, Indian bases, or the Indian Air Force. And Rajnath Singh, what did he say?
That's the bogey they are hitting actually.
So the thing is this, that these things once come from the political leadership. What did the Indian Chief of Army Staff said, who died in a helicopter crash? What did the different Indian generals have been saying onto the television? That what did India say about the nuclear first use policy? They have been advocating that we will take a nuclear war. And that is what the dangerous path is, not only for Pakistan, but for the region also. And let me tell you one thing more. The targeting of the Ismail Hania, even you cannot rule out the role of the RAW into that, because there is a very close nexus which is existing between Mossad and RAW. And the location of Hania and the follow-up of the Hania, you cannot rule out that the RAW was also involved into it, along with the Mossad which was tracking Hania. So all these things are dangerous sign, not for Pakistan also, but for the region also. It means that anywhere, any head of the state living in any country is not safe from the atrocities of the Zionist lobby.
Indian or the Israelis, definitely, you are absolutely right. Admiral Sahib, Indian media reveals several incidents where Indian military personnel were directly involved in terrorism. And so on, so forth. What's your thought? Whether Indian military turned rogue, what would be an ultimate fallout of a terrorist military that is going to be very dangerous, because military is always very disciplined and they always operate in some sort of SOPs and having some plans. But terrorists always operate even individually, and they have segregated plans. So I have some of the examples, if you like to. I just want to quote it, that, and it's Indian media which is reporting. Lieutenant Colonel Shrikant Prasad Purohit was the Abhinav Bharat right-wing extremist group. He was affiliated with that, aligned with the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, involved in Samjhauta Express tragedy in 2007, in which 40 Pakistanis were martyred. Also accused of Malegaon blast. Indian Navy sailor accused of links with in Mumbai attacks in 2008. Major Ramesh Upadhyay, he was involved in terror plot in 2019. Sipai Sudesh Kumar arrested having links with the terrorist organizations in 2020, and so on. There are lots of examples, long list of the Indian soldiers, Indian officers directly being the part of extremist organization or the terrorist organizations. How do you see that?
As we talked about the Hindutva, so this is the genesis of the extremism and radicalization of the society. So if it is compared with a kind of body problem, so entire body will have the problem. So in India, it's a big democracy. If it has been systematically radicalized by the BJP, and on the back is the RSS, and this process started in somewhere after the First World War. So it is going on. Mahatma Gandhi was also assassinated by one of the RSS,
Nathuram Godse.
Nathuram.
He is the part of RSS.
Exactly. But they came into power right from the 2000 onward, 2001 when the Modi came in power in Gujarat, and right after 1 year we see the massacre. About 1,000 Muslims were targeted.
More than
2006
2,000 Muslims were actually murdered over there.
Exactly, and
Including lots of MPs and all of this.
Next is the 2006 Samjhauta Express, about 60 plus. Again, Muslims were targeted. So slowly and gradually they kept building on this, and once the Modi came into power, Modi 1, 2 and 3 now,
yes,
they systematically targeted the Muslims and minorities together. And today it is an issue that yesterday I was reading in a report that the National Crime Bureau of India, they reported that the 90 ladies are being raped per year, you can say. Sorry, it's a per day.
it's a huge number.
Huge, and it comes out to be 15 minutes one lady is being raped. So this is,
and unfortunately including the foreigners, because who are coming as a tourist.
There was a Spanish
They are
lady a
suffering.
week
Yes,
ago,
yes.
she was gang raped.
Yes.
Now the problem is, if you radicalize the entire society, then the problems will be multidimensional. That's what is happening, because
You are
this
talking
is
about multidimensional problems. So several reports suggest, Admiral Sahib, that India as a highly irresponsible nuclear state, as recently after multiple nuclear black markets unveiled in different Indian states with dozens of incidents of sensitive nuclear equipment and uranium theft, that depicts vulnerability of the Indian nuclear program, the missile systems, or even its nuclear submarines, as you were talking about, Aryant. Do you not think that the nuclear terrorism could trigger from India and could be directed to any other country? So that's going to be a very dangerous precedent.
very aptly highlighted, because IAEA has given statistics about India since 1994 till 2017. 18 such incidents have been reported, which includes over 200 kg of the radioactive elements. Very recently in May it occurred, and in July it was actually reported in Uttarakhand. They recovered a black box along with certain equipments, which was from the Bhabha Atomic Energy Commission. So this speaks of their first and the foremost, if you see the military, the incidents, it is related to number one is the safety, number two is the security, and number three is the oppressed minorities. And altogether, this is a recipe for disaster in the region. I think as the Dr. Saab indicated, that now their society has started speaking about. The first and the foremost is during the elections, where they were looking at 400 seats, whereas they dropped down to about 240, 230 or 240. So this is the public, when they realize that if they don't have a 2/3 majority and they playing havoc with our society, traditions, fiber and everything has been destroyed, But if they get 2/3 majority, they are going to be very, very ruthless, and our entire country will be at stake. So now that public has started speaking. So this is a silver lining I see during these elections, that the strength of their society has started coming back and fighting it out.
Definitely, you are absolutely right, because Indian public is largely secular and they don't want to be the extremist or the terrorist kind of mentality. So that is turning around now. So let's hope for the best, but right now the situation is entirely different when Modi is there in chair. So Dr. Awais, some reports suggest that, as Admiral Sahab rightly pointed out about Bhabha Atomic Research Center, BARC in Mumbai, reports suggest that natural and depleted uranium theft from various Indian nuclear plants and research centers, including that what Admiral Sahab has pointed out, unveiled the fact that if that would be in the wrong hands, means Hindu extremist, supremacist or terrorists, it could be used to manufacture some sort of a miniature dirty bomb, also known as the radiation dispersal device, RDD. So how dangerous this phenomena could be for entire region, particularly the small states like Nepal, like Bangladesh, like Sri Lanka, Maldives, because they have lots of issues with them as well.
Exactly. You know, first of all, we need to see that some of the incidents that you have cited in your remarks, and on which there is a whole book written by S.M. Mushrif, who was
those were actually not my remarks, but the Indian media which is actually presenting the evidence.
S.M. Mushrif, who was the IG police of Maharashtra police, and who wrote a book, Who Killed Karkare?
Yes.
Who killed Karkare, and in which he listed all those incidents, as you have mentioned, Maligaon incident, Makkah Masjid incident, Samjhauta Express incident. There was a nexus between extremist forces and the military people, right? So if such kind of
actually there was a storm in my mind actually at that time when I was listing all those events. There was a long list of events in which the serving military officers were involved.
Exactly. So keeping this context in view, in which these people, they have been involved, I think that this kind of loopholes in the security of the nuclear material, I think it has very serious implications, and I think that the IAE and the other relevant authorities should take up the issue and should ask the Indian government for the inquiry. It's very unfortunate when we see the international bodies position towards Iran and towards even Pakistan. But when there are clear evidence with regard to Indian, as
unfortunately,
you
International Atomic Energy Agency or any other, even Financial Action Task Force or any other organization, they have a very, unfortunately, a marginal view or a biased approach towards some countries, but not towards India, because that was the same like nuclear suppliers group in which in 2008 Obama administration given the waivers to India. Despite of that, there were lots of fissile material was theft from the different nuclear sites from India. So Dr. Saab, how do you see the Indian courts and judges getting radicalized, apparent from their decisions on Babri Mosque, Hurriyat leader Yasin Malik, regarding revocation of the Article 370 and 35A, and now surprising action by the Madhya Pradesh High Court's Indore bench, presided by the Justice Shushrat Arvind Damadikari, and along with him the Justice Gajendra Singh, passing an order dated July 25th, 2024, and giving glorious tribute to Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh.
This is a very unfortunate trend in Indian democracy, so-called democracy.
By the way, they are the custodians of justice.
In democracy, believes in separation of power, executive and judiciary and the parliament. But what happens in India currently is that this judiciary, it has become an instrument of executive, to implement their Hindutva policies or Hindutva agenda. I can cite a number of examples to substantiate my argument that how this judiciary is basically an extension of Hindutva. 500 mosques they have been identified to be demolished, and some other if you see that this in 2018, senior member of BJP, Maya Kodani, who was sentenced to 20 years in jail for his for her part in the murder of 97 people in 2002 in Gujarat. So this, in 2000, a court overturned the conviction. This is number one. In Hyderabad, Makkah Masjid blast in 2008, acquitted all, including Swami Asim Nanand. So this is another one. Samjhauta Express we have already discussed. That court acquitted.
And the same Swami Asim Anand was involved in Samjhauta Express.
In Samjhauta Express. Then Hashimpura massacre, 42 Muslim by the Uttar Pradesh police, and it took 31 years for the guilty police personnel to be convicted by the Delhi High Court in 2008. And the culprits of the massacre of 72 Muslims in Malayana, they are yet to be punished, and 34 years later, the case has been adjourned 900 times. So if you see, the similar incidents, that the demolishing of mosques, the demolishing of houses of the Muslims, so and then the court verdicts on that. It's not just the Babri Masjid verdict, it's not just the verdict against Kashmiri Hurriyat leader Yasin Malak, that is jaundiced, and that is that is not in line with the principles of justice and fair play. There is a long list
It's unfortunate that the judiciary in India, rather than as you have rightly pointed out, justice and fair play, they are actually acting as a tool of RSS, unfortunately. They are. Brigadier retired Ghazanfar Sahab, what really Modi extremist design is for India? Whether Indian military and other organs of the Indian state are going to be the part of Bharatiya Hindu Parivar, along with the Bajrang Dal, Shiv Sena, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and finally under the umbrella of Sangh Parivar led by Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh.
Faisal, you have mentioned, and there have been number of incidents which are factual incidents. It's not that we are trying to create something. They are standing on the record that what RSS has been doing to the Muslims.
And officials or Indian media?
Indian media. I mean, to the extent, you remember, go back to the history. Recently, about 2 years back, CIA leaked classified files says that RSS in 1948 instigating the army, some army officers to eliminate the first chief of army staff, General Krepa, and that conspiracy was detected. They wanted to kill because he was not from General Krepa. They wanted to kill him on the basis of religion, and this has been happening in India till now. You have given a very, not even in the Indian army. You just mentioned, I mentioned you about the confusion in the Indian force, then Indian Navy, what happened in Indian Navy. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that Indian Army and Indian Judiciary, Indian Civil Forces are the part of RSS, and they've been infiltrated with such people who are the die-hard members of the RSS, believing on Hindutva, believing on Sangh Parivar, believing on terrorism, believing on a Shiv Sena. There's a part of Shiv Sena which has been inducted.
Your point well taken, because we are run short of time. So a last question, but very brief and short. It is to both of you, sir. UN Human Rights Committee just adopted concluded observations about India, issued a statement on July 29, 2024, voiced serious concerns about the discrimination, the violence against minorities, religious groups, and the serious reservations on Indian Armed Forces Special Power Act and counter-terrorism laws, and asked to comply with the human rights laws. How do you respond, Doctor, please? Very short, brief.
Earlier there were, again, I'll say that there are, consistent reports. In 2018, there was a report of Human Rights Council. In 2018, there was a report of Human Rights Council. And there are other reports of Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. They have been asking India to, about these black laws. In Amnesty International, one of the reports clearly mentioned that this
Amnesty International, Genocide Watch, lots of other reports, Human Rights Watch.
So I think that India, if it is interested to establish its democratic credentials, it needs to revoke these black laws.
But with the dual face.
Yes, exactly.
So, Admiral, sir.
I think I'll give you the maritime side also into it, that if Indo-Pacific strategy is giving a central role by saying a net security provider, so the credential which is coming up from the UNSC report as well as what is coming up in the media, they need to rethink, because net security provider, it should be a country which should have respect, wherewithal and intentions to give stabilization to the region.
You are absolutely right. It's rather than to be the net security provider, it's going to be a net security disaster in the region.
Disruptor, I would say.
Your point well taken. Your point well taken. Thank you very much, Dr. Awais bin Wasi sahab. Thank you very much, Admiral sahab. And thank you very much, Brigadier Ghazanfar sahab, for being with us online. Viewers, as you have just listened to our worthy panelists, India is actually in the grip of extremist terrorist thoughts, and religion was never be the part of Indian government when it was there in 1947, but Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh for its beginning wants India to be the Hindu state only. This Akhand Bharat mantra is going to be very dangerous for all of the South Asia and even for the world. INS Brahmaputra incident was really a surprising incident, because other than the incompetency and the non-professionalism what that is there in Indian Navy, but unfortunately the links which are establishing right now and the investigating committee that was formed by the Indian naval chief that has constituted at least and they have actually given three of the very important points what the panelists have given us, that safety, security and sabotage. These are the 3 points, and sabotage because whatever is happening all around the world, across the world and within India with the Sikh community, Muslims and all others, might be it would be a revenge from the Indian state and Abudi regime. A nuclear theft in India is now a regular feature. IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, has to take action on that. 18 incidents till reported in India. So this is the situation of India, and the judiciary is actually going to be very extremist in India with their judgments, that is apparent. So this is today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.